Hi, I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach all about parenting, good communication, strong family relationships, and child development, all through the lens of self-government. And in this video, we're going to be talking about nurturing the heart of your child. When I talk to people about self-government all over the world, I always share the definition of self-government. So self-government is being able to determine the cause and effect of any given situation and possessing a knowledge of your own behaviors so that you can control them. In short, it actually means having a change of heart. In this video, we're going to learn more about self-government and how to help your child experience a change of heart. So let's talk a little bit about self-government. When a person self-governs, they understand cause and effect, and they have a knowledge of their own behaviors so that they can control them. So what that means is they analyze themselves on a regular basis, they make plans for themselves, and then they check up to see if they've followed through with the plans that they established for themselves. And what this does, it gives them an opportunity to acknowledge when they've done things well, so that would be a positive consequence that they've noticed, or when they need to adjust. So they might notice negative consequences for their behavior and realize that they need to make some sort of a shift so that they can adjust things properly. This is what a person does when they're fully mature and they understand self-government. Now, I know many of you are probably thinking, I know adults who do not like doing that. It's true, there are many people who do not find that it's very comfortable to self-assess and to even just admit that they've done something wrong, let alone make a shift in a new direction. But you can train a person from the time they're very young to see this as a very healthy thing. In fact, it teaches them to become motivated, which is what every really successful person has to establish about themselves before they are able to do what they were meant to do in life. When a person goes through this process of self-examination, finding things that are wrong about themselves, and then fixing them and moving on, they are constantly accepting consequences to their own actions. That means they're constantly being honest with themselves again and again. This is what is required for a change of heart. So as we're talking about nurturing the hearts of your children, we need to remember that everything needs to be done honestly. So the opposite of honestly is manipulatively. If you are heavy-handed to your child, if you're angry to your child, you're not going to be talking to their heart anymore. Now you're talking to their amygdala, okay, and their emotional center, and all of a sudden you aren't speaking any kind of truth or things that make sense. You are just now manipulating them. As we create an environment where our children's hearts can change and where we can nurture them toward becoming the people they're supposed to be, we need to remember that our actions do have a major impact on that nurturing environment. So if I want my child's heart to change, I've got to prepare things ahead of time. When a person is self-governed, they make a plan. We're going to talk about nurturing and what that plan looks like, but first click that subscribe button. There are so many videos here on the channel you're not going to want to miss, and don't forget to click the notification bell too. So let's talk about nurturing. What does it mean to nurture somebody? In Webster's 1828 dictionary, it says that to nurture is to promote growth, education, and instruction. So when a person is nurtured, then you're pointing them in a direction toward their growth. So it's like the parents are the farmers, the cultivators, and the child is this plant that's getting nourished and growing in the right direction so that they can hopefully bear the right fruit. That's what it means to nurture another person. And I think it's very significant to point out that correction is a big part of this. You can't nurture someone without correcting them. I think that people think of nurturing as kind of smushy, almost coddling in the way that it feels, but actually no, when you nurture someone, you are very honestly training them up in a deliberate way, which requires correction and instruction. So how do we nurture the hearts of our children? What type of formats do we need to put in place? Well, the first thing we need to do is examine our own heart and make sure that our own heart is ready to do the teaching. So when you do teaching to your children, when you're telling them a new skill or showing them something, when you're praising them or when you're correcting them, are you calm? That's important. If you don't know how to be calm, then you definitely need to start there. In fact, there's a Calm Parenting Toolkit that's below this video that you can have if you would like, if you want to link to that. But being calm is vital. You need to know how to correct a person in a way that's loving and connective and calm. So this is an important part of touching their hearts. One thing that I do when I'm correcting a child or teaching a child to make sure that I stay calm is I focus on having a certain voice, a calm voice. I plan what my calm voice is going to be like. It's not going to be irritated or frustrated in any way. It's going to be safe and secure. I also have a calm way that I hold my body, so I'm not going to be popping my hip or pointing my finger, but instead I'm going to keep my weight pretty equally distributed and just be okay with whatever happens. So being calm, super important. You also have to have the words to say so that you don't say those first words that pop into your head, which might be a little bit selfish. Calmness is huge at creating that strong bond. When we nurture our children, we're essentially bonding with our children. So what types of things do we need to do to improve that bond? We need to have regular communication with them. So this is going to be helpful when we're solving some of the bigger problems in life. You have to establish the good habits before you need them in a time of crisis. So in our family, we have multiple times where we get together and talk each week with our children, sometimes as a whole group and sometimes individually. So we have family meetings, which we often call family councils. In those family meetings, we discuss as a family a problem that the whole family might be dealing with, and then we come to plans for how to handle it, and we follow up the next week. This is going to benefit us in the future. If we have these meetings where we're talking about goals or solving problems, and then we follow up, then guess what's going to happen when a really big problem comes for the family? We already have a way to get together to talk about it. We know how to talk to each other. Even if we have different ideas, we know how to share those ideas so that we don't end up not getting along with each other. Your children also need a lot of personal time with you too. So it's important that you set up time just to talk with them and just to have activities with them. I often travel with my children, or we go on individual dates where we can talk about things in their life. Maybe there's a certain show that you like to watch. Well, don't just watch the show with that one child, but also discuss it and have other discussion before and after and even during the program if you're going to be watching a television show. But you also should have things that don't involve digital stimulation, maybe a hobby or a project that you can work on together. This is going to give you a moment for your hearts to see how similar you are with each other. When they get older and they start seeing themselves as very different from their parents, they need to have those moments where they knew that you worked on something together and they learned from you. This brings me to another thing that's super important, and that's teaching. Do you realize that your role as a parent is actually the role of teacher? So part of nurturing is to teach your children, to instruct your children. So you've got to make sure that you catch everything and you talk about everything that needs to be talked about. Don't just let things sweep under the rug. Now, this doesn't mean we make everything a federal case and get emotional about it, but talk about everything. Don't leave anything undone. You should be doing a lot more talking than you probably want to put in each day, but not lecturing, because lecturing makes a child shut off. I'm talking about discussion and training and giving insights. Those are things that are valuable to children. It gives them a picture at adult life that they drastically need in order to launch into adulthood later. Our world will change if the hearts of the children are turned toward their parents, and if the hearts of the parents turn toward the children. If they bond together and they become one. We have a problem in our society right now where people are contentious about every little thing, every political idea, social idea, and people are just hyper-focused on being activists to the point that they're not even caring about relationships with others anymore. Think of how your child will be different when you take the time to develop a strong relationship with them and when your hearts become one. If they can become one in your family with you, then hopefully they can become one in the world with other people too, even if they don't always agree about everything. Our hearts are the beginning. They lead to good relationships, and united hearts are also born out of good relationships. So if you've liked this video, then I'm pretty sure you're gonna love my next video, which is called Parenting Power Found in Good Relationships. Click on that video now, and I'll see you there.